Hello and welcome to a special edition on the Magic Multiverse. Today we'll basically be covering the M15 pre-release. Basically what I'm going to do here is I'm going to show you an overview of kind of what decks you're probably going to see, depending on, obviously nothing is just set in stone. There are a lot of variables on what deck you have to build or you're going to see people build, based on your polls, the cards you're given, the promo you pick. It all just takes into effect in the kind of decks you're going to be facing. So just keep that in mind. And I'm leaving mythics out in this just because they're going to be hard to get in the packs. Start off with white, Resolute Angel, 7 mana. It has flying. It's a 4/4. Whenever it enters the battlefield, if your life total is lower than your starting life total, you basically just reset your life total and bring it back up. So if you're at, let's say, 3 or something, you get lucky enough to put this out, you go back up to 20, and your opponent's probably going to be really mad. Or Permanent Captain, or you're going to be really mad, I guess. Permanent Captain, 2 colorless, a white. It's 2/2 first strike, and then whenever it attacks, you put a soldier card from your hand onto the battlefield, tapped and attacking. So you're gonna see a lot of creatures like with white. I mean, that's basically what white is, just a ton of creatures. Even though they might be really weak creatures, you're gonna see a ton of them. So that's a very common theme as well. Hushwing Griff. This is a new card. Flash, and then has flying. It's a 2/1. Creatures entering the battlefield don't cause abilities to trigger, so this works well to counter Phyrexian Revoker if that's something you have to deal with. Um, there's a few cards like that. Basically this card just hoses the blue promo. Absolutely great against it. Um, Spirit Bonds. Whenever a non-token creature enters the battlefield, you may pay 1 white, and then if you do, you put a spirit on the battlefield, and then you can sack a spirit for 2 mana, and then a target non-spirit gains indestructible until end of turn. So this is gonna be great. I mean, you're gonna be sacking like some weak little spirits, and a ton of creatures are gonna enter the battlefield for white. So without a doubt, you're gonna see a ton of spirits and a ton of indestructibility. Return to the ranks. It has Convoke, so obviously white, like I said, is just gonna have a ton of creatures. So the fact that it has Convoke makes it that much better. And then you can return X target creature cards with converted mana cost 2 or less from your graveyard to the battlefield. Obviously there's just gonna be like a ton of Convoke with white, and that's just a common theme I see. White Convoke and tokens, and that's all you have. Mercurial Pretender. This card basically just enters the battlefield as a copy, and then it has, for 4 mana you can return it to your owner's hand, or to its owner's hand. Um, so basically you can bring it back and just keep copying random creatures, but not my favorite promo. Polymorphous Jest. Basically, this is what white does, is just controlling the game, just kind of altering the game a little bit. No, but just being able to make all the creatures your opponent control, or your a target player control, a 1/1 frog is pretty sad. I mean, you're just gonna basically, I don't know. They're gonna be wanting to do something at an instant speed. You're gonna make everything a frog, and it's just gonna completely ruin the game plan. And you can just block all of that, and I'm sure they'll be sad. Master Predicaments. Whenever it deals combat damage to a player, you select a card in your hand, and then if the player guesses wrong, if it's greater or less than 4, then you may cast it for free. Uh, this is going to be a very good card. I mean, it's very interactive with your opponent, but they might not like the card. I know for sure I wouldn't like facing this, but it's going to be very good to see. I mean, it's great for blue. Now, Chasm Scholar. This is another good blue card. Whenever you draw a card, put a +1/+1 counter on it, and then whenever it dies, you put X squids, where X is the amount of counters on Chasm Scholar, and then they all have Island Walk. Um, so basically, I would be very careful if I was playing blue. I mean, if your opponent has this, then you should be like scared. You better hope you have one of those frog cards out. And Soul Artifact. I noticed blue is very, I don't know, it's getting very tied up with artifacts. This and then Chief Engineer, those would be really good cards. I mean, if you manage to get those two and some artifact cards, I would not hesitate to build some sort of artifact deck. It would just be probably a great deck. Indulgent Tormentor. Now, this is probably my favorite promo. It's the most most helpful, coming in at 5 mana. It's not too hard. I mean, not too hard to cast, and then it's just great. It gives you card advantage, or it forces your opponents to sacrifice a creature or pay 3 life, which is just that much better for you. Just lets you win that much closer. So this card is just all around amazing. It gives you card advantage. So I was thinking Sign of Blood would be a very good card to have in this deck as well, just to give you that card advantage. This will work well with Chasm Sculler as well. So I wouldn't be surprised if you're just drawing a ton of cards and basically just having a ton of card advantage and getting a ton of counters on the Chasm Sculler. If you manage to build a deck like that or see that deck, basically I'd just be very worried at this combo. Now Ulcerate is probably the best removal, even though it's not very good, sort of. I mean, it's a good card. It's basically like Bio Blight, but you have to pay 3 life, and there's only a few lifelink cards in black that I saw. So, I mean, I wouldn't be too worried. It's only 1 mana, so obviously it's a really good card. But I just wish there was better removal, like a Doomblade or a Murder would even be good. Waste Not. So this is a very interesting card. Black shares this common theme this time of just discard, and I like that. I mean, it's a really good effect. It allows you to control your opponent's hand, and it just gives you some rewards as well. You can put 2/2 zombies, you can add 2 black to your mana pool, or you can draw a card. I mean, that's just more card advantage. So black's just going to be all about card advantage. And Mind Rot, if you manage to get Mind Rot and a Waste Not, you're basically just set on the discard and the card advantage. So this is going to be absolutely amazing just seeing Waste Not. It's just perfect with Indulgent Tormentor. If you manage to get Waste Not, that'd be a very good pull. Um, and you just basically you would try to base your deck around around discarding. So let's look at Siege Dragon, the red promo. Now 7 mana for a 5/5 flyer. That's pretty well. It's okay, not necessarily pretty good, but its ability is just what makes it good against white. I mean, if your opponent is going to be having a ton of just white weenie creatures, you deal 2 damage to all of them. Basically, that just kills them all, and they don't have flying. So yeah, unless they have the Spirit Bond's indestructibility thing, I doubt they're gonna survive. Now, Broodkeeper, 4 mana. Whenever an aura becomes attached to it, you put a dragon token down. This is very good. I mean, there's a lot of enchantments in red. There's a lot. So I noticed like a lot of them that just help out a lot, a lot. And then anyways. So Broodkeeper is going to be a very good card, especially with Crucible of Fire. If you manage to get that and an uncommon Broodkeeper, it's just going to be, I mean, it's not too hard to get, but obviously if you get these two and the promo, there's just a sign that you should be playing dragons. Um, just pumping up those dragons is just going to be very interesting. I think that basically they're just warming us up for Khans of Tarkir with these cards, so dragons are just going to be awfully common. Aggro is obviously going to be common as well. Generator Servant just is a major example of that, prime example. Tap and then add 2 to your mana pool, but you have to sacrifice the Servant. But if you use it to cast a creature spell, it gains haste until end of turn. So that's just it's very good for aggro, but also if you just need additional mana to play some sort of spell, then obviously this is your guy. I mean, he's a common. He's going to be a very good common. He's probably going to be one of my favorite commons in the set. So Shrapnel Blast, this also helps with the artifacts. Basically, if you have some artifacts lying around and you just don't want them, or they're about to get destroyed or something, you just sack them away and just deal 5 damage. This is just a great response card. Or if you just need that additional punch, that this is basically your card. If you get this and Soul Artifact and Chief Engineer, you're just set on playing artifacts. I mean, that's just amazing. That's just an amazing draw, amazing pull. So Fido Titan, 6 mana, 7/2. Whenever it dies, you return it at the beginning of the next upkeep. It doesn't have trample, so obviously, if you're gonna make a promo that's a 7/2, it should at least have trample, honestly. But oh well, I guess you have to deal with it. Not too good for green, but there's going to be a lot of ramp in green. I mean, they're bringing back Elvish Mystic, so you can tap it and add green. So there's going to be a lot of mana ramp. This helps for the for cards such as Chord of Calling and Genesis Hydra. I was trying to combine the two cards. But anyways, you just ramp into those. Um, I guess we'll just go ahead and move on. I'll show you the next cards. So we're gonna start off with a Court of Calling. Now X and then green. It's a reprint. It has Convoke, so it's amazing if you manage to get this with white or something. Search your library for a creature card with converted mana cost X or less, and put it on the battlefield. Then shuffle your library. So obviously, if you build like a green-white deck or something, and you have a ton of those tokens lying around and convoke them, you can get that Angel and just basically reset your life total. So that'd be a really good combo. Genesis Hydra. Now X and green. So obviously you're going to be ramping into the stuff like hardcore, and then if you're going to get a gigantic creature, and then another probably gigantic creature with just Genesis Hydra's ability, then this is going to be a very good card, especially in green ramp. I mean, if you manage to get Nisa, if you manage to pull her, these are going to be just all-stars in the deck. Same with Court of Calling. Basically, you're just going to get some gigantic creature, and it's just going to be awesome to watch, but not for your opponent. So, Hornet's Nest. Obviously, this is a really scary card. I mean, it's a Hornet's Nest. It's 3 mana. It has Defender, but basically, whenever it's dealt damage, you put that many tokens with Flying and Death Touch on the battlefield. Sorry. So, I mean, like I said, it's a Hornet's Nest. You might want to watch out with that. So, for Hot Soup, equipped creature can't be blocked, and then whenever it's dealt damage, you destroy it. So, this would be a great card for the Shrapnel Blast. If you have to destroy that creature, or if you manage to get an artifact creature on it, you basically just destroy Hot Soup. Or if it's about to get dealt damage, in response, you can just sacrifice Hot Soup, and therefore your creature doesn't die. So that'd just be a really good response. Ornithopter is being reprinted in the set, so this would work well with Ensoul Artifact, and so would Darksteel Citadel. Having either a 5/5 flyer or a 5/5 indestructible creature is just absolutely amazing on turn 2. So if you get that and some Ornithopters, you're basically just set on artifacts. Let's move on to Shield of the Avatar. This would shine in white probably the most, probably because just there's going to be a ton of those tokens. There's a ton of like common like a Race the Alarm, I believe, is being reprinted. So obviously, just white is going to be all about tokens. And if they manage to get this and some gigantic white creature, like the Preeminent Captain or something, then obviously this is just going to be that much harder to kill. So now, for Phyrexian Revoker, this is going to be a very interesting card to see. But like I said, the Hushwing Griff obviously cancels it out, and it comes in at flash. But this card is just going to be absolutely amazing. I mean, you can cancel their Elvish Mystics, you can cancel their abilities, you can basically just silence any creature that you want. So this is going to be a interesting, pesky little artifact. I'm going to be very excited to see it. So I'll just go over what I mentioned in the video. White is going to be basically all about creature tokens and creatures and stuff like that. Blue is going to be it's going to be all about like kind of card advantage and just controlling the game, like typical your spells that just your counter spells. Black is going to be card advantage and discard. Red is going to be sort of dragons and sort of